All right, welcome to Head Coach Scott Satterfield's National Signing Day Press Conference. Coach will start us off with an opening statement. Please raise your hands for questions. Following Coach Satterfield, we will have our General Manager, Zach Graham. Coach?
Yeah, it's obviously signing day, obviously a exciting day for any football team. I guess, when you're signing your class of guys that we've been on for a long time. A lot of these guys have been probably about a year and a half in recruiting, going back to their junior season. And then getting them up here last January, February. You go through the spring, you get them up to practice, you go through the summer, try to get them committed, and then you get them here for a lot of these home games here at Nippert. And excited about this class. Obviously, when we think about your class, we want to start in the state of Ohio. We know some of the greatest coaches in the country are right here. High school coaches are in the state of Ohio. This year we got 7 guys that we're signing from the state of Ohio, which we're thrilled to have those guys here. One from Cincinnati, and obviously we want to start right here in our backyard when we're recruiting, and then we're going to spread out. We're going to try to find players anywhere. This day and age, when you think about recruiting, it used to be very regional, and obviously we're going to hit this region, but then you got to spread out and go get the best players that you think you can get for your program that fit the mold, and which we've done that. 4 from Alabama and 4 from Georgia, which I think are hotbeds of high school football as well, and then some others scattered out throughout the country. So, I think one thing to me that stands out is 5 offensive linemen. I think the bigs are always going to be a priority here. You got to continue to bring in big guys, that including D-line as well. But the big guys in the trenches. I think that's where certainly, the teams that are competing for Big 12 championships have good O-lines and D-lines. I think we all see that, particularly those last 4 games we played. There's some really good offensive, defensive linemen that we're playing against, and so you certainly got to continue to bring those guys in. And we also know that is a developmental position. Those guys have to come in, they have to, get in the weight room, work on their fundamentals. Those guys take time, and I think, having this group right here, I'm very excited about this O-line group. I think these guys right here are some really good football players, tough, nasty players that you want up front. Excited to work with them. And a lot of these guys have been committed for a while, so we've had them up for multiple games for sure. Wide receiver, we felt like we needed to get some bigger guys, and we did. This crew right here, including the tight end, which plays wide out as well. They all have length. They all have length. They all have size, and I think, again, in the Big 12, I think you got to have that. Contested catches, you're going to have tight coverage. You got to be able to have a big catch radius. So obviously, we went and got some size there. I felt we definitely needed that. And then obviously got to replenish the linebacker room. we got some great players at linebacker, and you got to keep those guys coming in. So went out and got some guys with length there as well, size. I think, certainly when you get toward the end of the season, you guys look out there and you see, Dingle, you see Golday, you see JT, you see all these guys, and they got, shoulder harnesses, elbow harness. That's a physical position you have to be in. So I think size is going to be a premium there. So these guys will be big players for us as well. And then more length in the secondary, more size again. I think more than anything, the size is the thing. Zach will talk a little bit more about that. But as you think about Big 12 and to get teams that are at the top of the Big 12, having that length, that size. And for us, we got to develop. We're a developmental program. We're going to take all these kids. We got to develop them into great football players. Some programs are not signing this many players in a high school, but I believe you got to do that. You have to be able to bring high school players in, develop them, and then see that later in the fruits of your labor there. But hopefully some of these guys will be able to come in and help us next year. I think that's we're telling them all, hey, get your mind right to come in here and play. A bunch of these guys will be here in January as well. So anyway, excited about that. And I think, for us, it's going to get the right kids too. These guys, I think, have the right mentality, right temperament, and excited about what they bring to the table.
Chad?
Lance Dawson was the last name that was announced on this list. I know there was a battle for him. How different is some of that stuff coming down to the wire now that there's a lot more than just your mom likes us and we're the right place for you for the next 4 years?
Yeah, it's a battle when you got a good football player like Lance and at a great program too, like Avon, who playing for another state championship. And we've been fortunate in signing a couple of his teammates over the years out of that program. You know what you're getting out of those guys. He's he's a great player and a sought out player. And I think for him, we were in on him early. and saw what he could do early, maybe before some of these other big schools that tried to come in on him late. And I think the relationship that we had on him, for a long time mattered. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of other factors that matter too. And for us, we're got to be able to step up to the table for some of these guys, which we were able to do. And we're tickled to get him to come in here and play. I mean, I think he's an outstanding football player. He's got length and size. I mean, he's going to be a big kid that plays hard. So that was a critical get for us, and very excited for him and his family to be a Bearcat.
Linebacker's kind of a tough nut to crack here. Kirkley from Taft, what does he bring? Is he a right-away guy or wait your turn? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think he just plays with the right mentality. He's a very physical player. Probably not as big as maybe some of these other guys at linebacker position, but he was a guy right here in our backyard that every single day he's going out working his tail off. He's a hard worker and a physical player. I actually went and watched him play this year on a Friday night. He gets after it. His teammates get after it. And so I love his mentality. Wants to be great. Excited about, when he got the offer, was so excited about that, to be able to stay here and play at home. They got a lot more talented players at that program. Hopefully we're going to be able to tap in some more of those guys, get a few more of his teammates in the years to come, because I think they got some great talent there. Coach has done a great job there at Taft of getting that program rolling. And, so we're excited about Adam. I think he fits the mold exactly what we're looking for.
What did you see from Brooks Goodman? It looked like, from at least my perspective, he might be one of the more complete quarterback prospects you guys have been.
Yeah, I mean, he just overall, he checks all the boxes. I mean, he's got size, playmaking ability. Not a stiff in the body. He can move around a little bit for that size. He's got good arm strength. He's a leader. He's what you want in a quarterback. Man, excited about him as well. I think he's been chomping at the bit to get here. Like, he's a guy who's already, like, all semester, he's been doing Zoom calls learning the offense. Like, he'll come right in here and know our offense, like in January, so he'll be awesome to watch throughout the spring. He's got all the intangibles. Obviously we hadn't worked with him yet. Can't wait to start working with him. But I love what he's going to bring to the table. He's a cerebral guy as well. Played at Blessed Trinity, which, played a lot of good teams down there. So he's great competition. So he won't be scared of the competition, all that kind of stuff, and playing against the defense. So, fired up about Brooks, and can't wait to work with him. And he'll be a guy who's here in January.
Coach, obviously you mentioned Adam and Lance, two of the guys who were on campus the most this offseason. Adam was seen kind of engaging with that linebacker room a couple times before games this offseason. How cool is it to see a kid from a hometown here kind of having that opportunity to play football?
Yeah, it's so awesome. I remember the day he came over this summer and came into our indoor. He's looking around touring, and we got to get around him and talk to him. And I think he may have been at camp too. He was working out a little bit too. And so you just see how hard he works. And then you see the look on his face when you say, man, you want to stay here and play here in Cincinnati? He was like, yes, sir. It's just awesome. Here's a kid, right here from our backyard that played football 5 minutes from here, and now he gets to stay home and start practicing here and, playing here in Nippert. So I love it. Hopefully we'll, continue to sign more guys here from the city. That guys can stay home and play. They got so much pride. They get to play in front of their family, their friends, the teachers that help raise them, right here. And I think that's an awesome thing.
Marco Taylor, another guy that's highly rated coming in. What does he bring to the defense?
Yeah, I think he's an outstanding player as well. He's got great size. Again, he plays in a league down there where it's very competitive. So he grew up in a competitive area, week in and week out, playing against some really good competition. He's a very smart kid as well. Very good communicator. I see him being a great leader for us when he gets here. He's a guy who had an injury this year and couldn't finish out his year, but is on the healing up really nicely. Starting to run this week, and so he's a guy I think can come in hopefully and once he gets healed up and be a guy that compete right away. That's the way we see him. I think he's a super talented player. I think had he continued to play, he would have gotten a lot more offers. He's that kind of player. Where it would have been a hard time for us to hold on to him. I think we think that much of him.
I don't know how easy it is to get kids out of Bloomington, but the tight end, Coach Stepp, seems to be pretty fired up.
Yeah, he's a special talent. I think he's some of the best ball skills we've seen in a long time. He's a little, as a tight end goes, maybe a little undersized, but he's got great length. I'm not so sure he can't come in and looking at playing outside, playing some receiver type stuff. He's got that kind of hands. Obviously, when he gets into the program, he's going to put on weight. We know that. I mean, these guys get here, they're going to fill out, they're going to get bigger. But I love the fact that he's got the length and the size, and he's got the great ball skills. So he's going to be a guy I think obviously can utilize on the outside perimeter as he gets bigger. And now you're going to be able to utilize him more in the box, blocking safeties, blocking linebackers. I think he's a special talent. I think he's a late bloomer. I think he's a guy that was a basketball guy that started playing football late. We've seen how some of those guys pan out, and obviously we're hoping for that for him.
Joshua Smith looks like a guy who has a ton of upside, 6'5", wide receiver. How do you go about that transition when he's played quarterback the past few years at his high school?
Yeah, I mean, I've over the years loved signing quarterbacks. They end up playing other positions. Man, I can think back many years over time, that we signed. I mean, one class at App State, we signed 5 in one class, and one of them played quarterback. The other guys played linebacker, corner, receiver, and safety. And they all started. And I think 4 of them went to the NFL. What I like about quarterbacks in high school is if you're a high school coach, a lot of times you put your best player at quarterback. And a lot of times those athletes that are playing quarterback can play a lot of positions. And he's that. You don't know if he can catch or not. So we got him here this summer. We worked him at receiver. We got him to run routes. It looked natural to him, and then obviously all fall he's playing quarterback, but you see his athleticism running around. The fact that he is so long, 6'5", and already has the size, he's competitive, he's got a great demeanor, he's easy to talk to, he's going to have that leadership capabilities already from that. Yeah, it is going to be a learning curve for him, there's no question about that, but over the years, man, we've seen guys that really develop and come into great players. Also, as a wide receiver, he knows what the quarterback's thinking because he was playing that position. So sometimes as quarterback, you're like, man, I wish that guy would do that. He knows that. So that's just something that's going to be inside of him. So, but he's a great person. He's going to be a great leader. But man, he's got a huge upside. I can't wait to work with him as well.
You look down at the defensive line guys that you have committed, you see Darius Simmons, 6'2", 6'3", roughly 335 pounds. Is that the kind of size and the frame you're looking for out there in the trenches?
He's going to be one of these guys. He's going to have to change his body when he gets. He's going to lose down, and then gain back. He's going to be that. But it's hard to find a 300-pound guy that can move, and he certainly has some ability, and so size is a premium. So we keep bringing those guys in. And so, he's a guy that will have to change his body when he gets here a little bit, break him down and build him back up. We'll see how he turns out. Rulo is a guy who's a national wrestler. He's one of the best wrestlers in the country. So I love that about him because he's got great balance. He's got great quickness. Who's a guy who's right at 300 pounds. He's had to control his weight because of the wrestling. Like he could be walking around right now at 290, but if he wanted to, he could be 310. He's that kind of guy. He's very disciplined in his approach because he's had to do it as a wrestler. To me, he could be the steal of the class. We'll see. I think he's an outstanding player. He's got great hands, great feet. He will cause havoc, and that's obviously what we need on defense. We need some more havoc players, and I think he's going to be a havoc guy for us.
A lot of guys in this class with versatility playing other sports. How much of an emphasis do you guys put that in the recruiting process to allow you to make changes where you're taking a safety and moving them down to cornerback or other positional changes?
I love the fact that guys that play a lot of sports. Number one, it tells me they like to compete, and if you like to compete, then you'll get better. And because everything that we're doing, even in the off season as well in the season, but you're competing, and guys that have position flexibility are so valuable. So now you'd love to be able to train them in 2 positions and see where they're going to flourish. And also, as a career goes on, there's guys that will move positions throughout a career too. So I think that's just a bonus for us as we look at players. If a guy only can do this one little thing, he's not as versatile. But if a guy can do a lot of things, he becomes more versatile for sure. So that's something we certainly look at in our evaluation process. And as we start vetting guys and all that, that just adds a little bit more to it, the guys we're looking for.
A little bit more size in the defensive backfield in this class. Is that something?
Yeah.
You talked about the receivers being bigger. Was it key for the DBs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get bigger. As we, as you go down the stretch and some of the best teams in the Big 12, especially these last 4 weeks, and really good football teams, you look out there from the sideline and you see the length these guys have, and they're able to hold up more. Our guys are not as big, and by the end of the season, you get broke down. And coming up trying to tackle these backs that are good, they're big. And the bigger we are, obviously, the more durable you can be, and the more potential you can get more strength. You can carry more weight, all those things when you do have the length. So it was a priority for us, and it will be a priority for us moving into the portal as well.
A lot of coaching changes around the country right now, which has brought up the conversation of the timeline of the entire college football offseason. What is your take on that, and do you think that there should be any changes moving forward?
Yes, there should be changes moving forward. I think everybody agrees with that. The problem is everybody's got an idea, and I've heard push everything back, but I've heard also move everything up, and so one of those things need to happen. And the problem is we look at the academic calendar and try to get our rules from that. Where we are right now, we don't need to look at the academic calendar. We need to look and see what fits the best for the calendar, because it's not fair for these programs. These coaches are leaving that are good programs. You're leaving probably because you're good or bad at this area. And these kids, the ones that are good, don't deserve this, in my opinion. Like, you're not the same team you were throughout to get there to the playoffs now. I mean, it's a weird situation. We're putting the guys in bad positions and bad spots, players included. The portal this year is going to be January 2nd. Well, these teams that are in the playoffs are going to be playing during that time. So if I'm a player on one of those teams and if I want to go play somewhere, what am I going to? I got to choose now. Do I get in the portal and go try to go somewhere, or do I try to win a national championship? Like that's a bad predicament we're putting these players in. And so something certainly needs to change. But who's in charge? Like, who really is in charge? Like, nobody knows. It's not the coaches. Like, who is it? I mean, I think if you put a bunch of coaches in the room, that will get it solved and get it fixed. But they don't want to do that. So something needs to happen. Somebody needs to take charge and fix this, so we don't have all this chaos that we're having right now.
You come home from a game, you got a bowl game to figure out, you got this class to put together. Have you started any portal transfer type talk with anyone? And in particular, I guess people would be interested in Mr. Swordsby.
Yeah. No, that's what we're doing right now. I think for us, it's like after the game Saturday, you want to give some time to let the guys rest for a second. And I think you don't want anybody, like after the game, you talk to anybody, everybody be mad at the world, and you want everybody to calm down a little bit. Let's give them a little bit of time. And so we're starting at this point of the week to start having some conversations. This will go on probably into next week as well. And you're right, we'll find out who our bowl opponent will be Sunday. It'll be an exciting time for our guys. We hadn't been in a bowl in a few years, so we'll make practices fun. We're gonna enjoy this time together. It's gonna be enjoyable. Wherever we go, it'll be a great one. We're just gonna go have fun at the bowl site, and then we're gonna go try to win this game, all right? So we're gonna do everything we can to make it enjoyable. Let the young guys continue to develop, get better. The old guys go out one more time and play a fun game and try to go get another win together. And I think that's gonna be the message here the next 3 weeks as we find out where we're going on Sunday. But our guys will be excited about it. I mean, they came in today and for the first time this week and got a run and a lift in. They were good to get back out here, and get some work in. So yeah, as the next week unfolds, we'll obviously find out what everybody's plans are going to be.
Got 2 quick ones for you. Ryan asked about sports. Is there a particular sport you like to see your players play the most that make you maybe like them or their football character a little more?
I don't think so. I just like for them to compete. Like, if you're a basketball player, go compete basketball. Wrestling's always good for the big guys because it shows balance. It shows toughness, tenacity. You're one-on-one. You can't run and hide. Like, it's you and him, So I love wrestling. Obviously, if you're running track, you're fast, so I think about that as well. For me, though, it's all about competing. I think now we're in a generation with these young people that they play the games all the time. They're on the phones all the time. Like, I love it. The guys used to get out in the yard and play and compete in the neighborhood. Not as much as that going on right now. It's more on the games. I feel like everybody I talk to, hey, what are you doing playing the game? So they are competing, I guess, on the game. But you like for them to be outside in the grass and playing some sports. But if they're doing that in high school, that means they like to compete. That's a good thing.
And you mentioned the freshmen possibly coming in and making an impact right away, not to put you on the spot, but is there anyone on that list that you see that is like, this guy's gonna, like, you have high expectations for?
No, I mean, I think I've always been surprised at that. Like some guy will say, I think he'll have an impact, and it'll be another one. So you just never know. I think from the time right now these guys signed to the time you play your first game next year, there's a lot of development that'll happen right there. So depends on how that happens, you know, and the guys that come in early will have an opportunity to go through spring practice and do all that, go through, you know, so they'll have a leg up on maybe somebody that comes in the summer, but it's hard to say. You know, obviously we're signing these guys for a reason. We think they've got a lot of potential. It would be awesome if a few of these guys could help us right now. It'd be great, because that's just going to add to our depth that we need. We need more depth, you know, so that'll help that. And but no, it's an exciting class. There's a lot of potential here, and can't wait to get to work with these guys.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you guys.
We'll have Zach
Appreciate it.
Grant next.
Thanks.
Zach will start us off an opening statement, and then please raise your hands for questions for Zach. You're good.
How's it going, everyone? First, I just want to thank our staff, starting with Coach Satterfield, all the assistant coaches, my staff in particular. On the high school side, Carter Wilson, our assistant GM, who leads our high school scouting process. I think he's one of the best in the country. He did a tremendous job throughout multiple years on this class. As well, and then from the communication side, Cass Simmons and Ty G. Leach. Everybody that I talked to from the parent side on these prospects, they cannot say enough about Cass Simmons and Ty G. Leach and the work that they do, and the real relationships that extend beyond football that they have. And then Caroline Tart, who leads our on-campus recruiting efforts. That's a tremendous task, especially when we're moving into a new building right at the time that OVs happen. For her to get all that organized and get rolling, very impressed with the work she did. And then we had 3 full-time interns, Peter Abrams, Brendan Lung, Kyler Kress, and then another one as well, Cohen Hackney. Peter in particular, a rising star in the profession, did a tremendous job, helps with the O-line specifically, and has done that for a number of years. And then we have 40-plus student workers that made this happen that we really couldn't do without them. So recruiting is a full effort. It's not one person, it's not just the coaches, there's a ton of people. So I really thank them for their work. I'm very, very, very excited about this class. This is a tremendous class. I think it's going to be the best one we've had since we've been here. When we set out to build a recruiting class, we want length, growth potential, and explosiveness. And at every position, we check those boxes. And beyond that, we look for guys with productive high school film. This class has that. And the final piece is, you know, all that gets them in the door to meet our head coach. And he needs to be able to look them in the eye and know that they have personal character. And based on what we hear from their high school coaches, the tape, and our interactions with them, we got to make sure they have football character. And I think everybody in the class checks those boxes, and couldn't be more excited. So with that, well, any questions you guys want?
Coach, 6 players from Ohio. Is it starting to feel like there's beginning to be a little bit more momentum for Cincinnati around the state? I know I'm going to consider Springboro, Cincinnati. So you got 2. But is there, can you sense that there's, now that you're in the Big 12 and established, that things are changing a little bit around the state?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can, one, look at the amount of commits or signees we get at the end of the class. I think in previous classes we've had players committed here that we couldn't keep. And the goal here is to keep the best players from Cincinnati in Cincinnati. And as we move forward, are the pieces in place? Coach Veit did an incredible job in the city this year, building real relationships with the high school coaches. You know, getting AK from Taft, I think is going to, not only his talent and his personality, he brightens a room, by the way. He's going to help us in the future, and we're going to start building better pipelines there. And I definitely do see the tide changing a little bit in the city. And that's going to be a priority in the 2027 class, which we've already obviously started working on. And absolutely, I do see that getting better.
You got Lance Dawson. I don't know if it came down to the wire or what, but can you describe how crazy today can be when you're waiting on somebody and how that goes back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, Lance certainly did come down to the wire. I think when you get a really good player, it's never going to be easy. And it wasn't easy with any of these guys. Like the timing of it may have been more down to the wire, but we battled a lot of big programs with guys taking some other official visits either before or after they did with us, and we won a lot of these battles, way more so than we have in the past, which was one of our goals heading into the our official visit season was, and the new facilities to credit for that. When we get these guys on an official visit, who are we getting who took official visits elsewhere? And in this class, our hit rate of those guys was significantly higher. And at Lance in particular, I mean, that went deep into the night. I didn't get much sleep. Coach Stu, Coach Sat, Cass, Ty G, it is what it is. I mean, that's what it takes to get a really good player. And we woke up in the morning and we didn't know if we'd have them or not. And obviously, we were able to circle the wagons, and a large credit to Coach Stu and Coach Veit too, with his connections at Avon, making sure that we got to the right people when we needed to, and kind of harness that. And I'll say this about Lance too. I know he ended, as you guys know, I don't really look at rankings much, but I know he ended as our highest rated commit, but when we offered him, I don't even think he had a page. And then well, certainly not the first time he visited. When we offered him, I don't think he did. By the time he did, a bunch of other schools liked him. But that's the value of Carter Wilson. When we evaluate that player and can tell him exactly what he needs to do to get an offer, that comes true when he gets the offer. And then he's able to establish that trust with us, and we're before every other team. And we love Lance for Lance, not because he got ranked high. And he earned that because of an incredible senior season, and we're happy for him to have the ranking, and obviously happy to have him.
AK is a great name for a linebacker, by the way. I just wanted to bring that up. Brooks Goodman looks like he has great film, complete QB, running and throwing. What made him stand out to the other quarterback prospects that you were looking at?
Yeah, of course. First of all, when we're going through the quarterback evaluations, we need a guy that can throw and run. So that eliminates a segment of both, right? And then you kind of narrow it down, and what we look for, watching all the game tape, what separates a quarterback is their decision making and their ability to be accurate with the football. And he showed both of those at a high level. And then, he showed the toughness we look for in the way he played the game. That's before we even met him. And when you meet him, he had the right mentality to be a quarterback, which is important for us, and it's huge. And we felt like, like Coach Sat said, he's going to come in here. He already knows the playbook. He's going to have his jaw set, ready to make any impact he possibly can for the football team.
Zach, when you look down at this offensive line class, you see 6'3" or higher just about. Obviously, size is a premium there in the trenches. Talk about that a little bit. Solomon Matt, this is a guy who stands out. Adam Holmes had a great career as well. What are those two guys bringing to the table up front in the trenches?
Yeah, we're fired up about the O-line class as a whole, first of all. Start with Solomon. He has freakish traits and potential. I think we're his first offer back in his junior year, and I remember that phone call. He went nuts on the phone to Coach Cardwell. But you look at the wingspan, how broad he is, his long arms, his growth potential, and then the raw explosiveness and ability to move people at the point of attack. There's a lot he's going to have to grow and work to as a technician at the position, which we obviously put trust in one of the best O-line coaches in the country to make that happen. And then Austin Hone, we discovered him a little later in the spring relative to some other guys, but his tape really stood out. And when you're sitting there with other options of guys who'd already had offers out to and been recruiting, and then all of a sudden his tape pops up, I was like, oh no, he's a priority. Just his feet, his ability to get into power angles, both as a positional blocker and using his power and leverage. Austin has a great future. And we mention size all the time. This class has all the growth potential we're looking for. The smallest listed guy is Nathan Zappatelli, and he had some of the best film I have seen at offensive line this season as a senior. And he was doing it with an injured shoulder, which is incredible. I cannot say enough about his tape, and we watched him against Glenville late in the season, and he was quite frankly dominating and against real players. And I think I just can't say enough about his tape, honestly. I could go on and on about the production from the O-line position that he had throughout the season, especially being injured but doing it.
When you guys are going through the evaluation process of these high school kids, how much do you look at fit within the scheme versus just recruiting quote-unquote football players?
At the offensive line position?
Just overall.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, it starts with the scheme. It's a little bit of a sliding scale. You guys understand by now we run a pretty unique scheme on defense, and it's my job to make sure we're getting the right kind of players to fit that so we have success. And as we learn and grow into that over time, it's become pretty obvious that we need to be big everywhere. And that's really, as you're growing it through the high school ranks, this class started that. But in general, too, you want the best football players, and the coaches we have can fit those guys to their schematic advantage. And so it's a little bit of a sliding scale, but I'm really happy with the work we did both within the scheme and just getting really good football players that will figure it out. For example, Keegan Horn from Hueytown down in Birmingham, he actually came to the first game of the 2024 season, and we offered him. But he has some position flexibility. He's playing on the edge now. We see him starting out as a Mike linebacker. And for us to create chaos and havoc on defense, the Mike linebacker's got to go out there and get a bunch of sacks like Jared Bartlett did. And we really believe that Keegan's going to be able to grow into that role. But he's just a really good football player. He may end up being 270 pounds and playing Leo for us. It remains to be seen based on what Nico does to him when he gets here. So that's kind of a case of taking a really good football player.
We hear a lot about wrestling as a second sport. Boxing is kind of a new one. How do you watch a boxing tape and kind of relate that to football?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm a professional boxing tape watcher by any means, so I just knew the fact that Jaden was an incredible boxer. And I don't know if there's a sport that can speak to someone's toughness more than that, right? So that really not only checks that box, but you circle that thing, right? And I mean, we haven't done any studies on boxing relative to being a football player, but I know Tom Zimikowski back in the day at Notre Dame was a really good boxer. But Jaden, like exactly what you'd expect of a boxer, has the mentality you want to go out there and be violent, physical. But when you meet him, he's a great kid, conscientious, wants to be a leader, and he's coming in early too. And we expect him to come in here with his jaw set, ready to go.
Mike to Scott.
Thanks. All right, nobody likes losing. You're at all the games. I'm sure it's really easy recruiting a kid after a big win, but what's it say for when they stick with you when things are not going so well?
Yeah, what it says about the recruits is that they have bought into what our message is throughout the course of time. Like, these relationships extend, a year plus for a lot of the kids. And we always tell these guys, we're pretty much an open book. Like, you're gonna get, when you're here, exactly what you've gotten when you were being recruited. There's no fake sales pitch. And so if they're buying into the real of who we are, when you go through ups and downs, we're still steady, we're still recruiting them. And the message, you have the chance to come in here and make this better. And if you have a bunch of guys that believe that they can do that, that shows that they have the right mentality. I think recruiting is more about identification, evaluation, relationship building than just kind of sitting back and trusting that winning's going to get it done for you. Obviously, over time, as we continue to win more and more, we expect recruiting to elevate in the guys that are open to seeing our pitch. But once we got our hooks in them, it's our job to close it for all those other reasons.
You said this was your best class so far. Do you see the tide turning? I mean, from day one when you came in, are you getting better players year by year?
Absolutely, I think so. And I think this class is going to show it. And moving forward, we can see the types of players that are coming here from the 27 class on campus and our ability to, get around a higher level of player as we're grading them, their willingness to come here. And I do think the new facility plays a huge part in that. It's become normal to us being in it now, but it just opened in June. And you get this next cycle, pretty much every 2027 recruit will be exposed to that facility only in their time of being recruited here. And that plays a huge part of it.
It's hard to forecast what a wide receiver will look like when he's played quarterback in high school like Josh Smith, but is there a comp that you've thought about with him, or what are you expecting from him when he gets on campus?
It's a good question, Keegan. There's not really a comp that I can think of in my head, just standing here.
Just say Calvin Johnson and make everyone really happy.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that's what we hope of him. He sure looks like him, I'll tell you that. Obviously, you can evaluate the quarterback film. They threw the ball with him a lot, so it's not like they're just running him all the time. So that got a little difficult. But, we evaluated the way he played and worked on the basketball court, and then we got to see him in person at camp. And, you know, I don't have a treasure chest or whatever on that one, because it could go a bunch of ways, all positive, I think, because he is big, athletic, really smart, works his butt off, has great ball skills. You're going to have to fine-tune some things in releases and the position-specific skills it takes to be successful, but the sky's the limit. And we've told him the ball's in your court to be as good as you want to, and you can look him in the eye and tell he has the right mentality to do that.
Any questions for Zach? Scott, last one. Cap it, baby.
All right, the portal opens January 2nd. What's your portal calendar look like now? I know I guess there's no contact right now, but I've heard of back channels and stuff around the country. We'd be naive to think that there's not been contact. How does that work with you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, when we're looking at the portal period kind of coming up here, the first step is to make sure we get our roster retained in the fashion we want to. So we're working on that, and simultaneously we're monitoring every single announcement that goes in. Obviously they can't go in the portal till January 2nd, but they'll put on Twitter that they plan to go in, and we're going to make sure the evaluation piece of that is perfect and our coaches are on the right page with us and Jack in the personnel department, that, you know, this is how we're stacking this position group. This is how we like this player. This is how we like this next player at a different level. And, you know, a lot of them have agents, and we're never going to have contact with the player before they go in the portal. We're going to information gather at all costs with the agents and try to have the best plan possible so that when they do get in the portal, we're firing at all cylinders and we're ready to roll.
Cool. Thanks, Zach.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.